My sister Claire could be anything, but I never thought she could use my house in exchange for a loan behind me. The envelope sat on my kitchen counter like a coiled snake. Plain white paper, corporate logo embossed in navy blue, my name printed across the front in sterile block letters. First Meridian Lending. I hadn't ordered anything. Wasn't expecting mail. But there it was, waiting for me after a 12-hour shift, analyzing wire fraud patterns at the Department of Treasury. I sliced it open with my house key, still wearing my work badge. Inside, a single sheet congratulated me on the approval of my home equity loan. $100,000, disbursed 3 days ago. My signature sprawled across the bottom of the application copy, loops and curves that almost looked like mine. Almost. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't spike. Years of financial forensics training had taught me that panic obscures patterns, and patterns always tell the truth. I set the letter down carefully, photographed it with my phone, and noted the timestamp. Then I sat at my kitchen table in the gathering dark, and stared at that forged signature until the streetlights flickered on outside. Someone had stolen my identity. Someone had used my home as collateral. And whoever they were, they just made the worst mistake of their life. People always called me the quiet one. The predictable sister. The boring daughter who chose spreadsheets over spotlight. Nobody knew exactly what my job specifics were. I worked the same government job for 8 years, took the same route to the office every morning, meal prepped on Sundays, and triple-checked my door locks before bed. My older sister Claire was different. Always had been. She lit up rooms with her laugh, commanded attention without trying, moved through life like it owed her something. Where I calculated, she improvised. Where I saved, she spent. Our parents loved us both, but they celebrated her. I didn't mind. Quiet suited me. Predictability was a choice, not a limitation. In my line of work, chaos was the enemy. I hunted criminals who hid behind shell companies and encrypted transactions. I tracked money through labyrinthine corporate structures until there was nowhere left to hide. Precision was my weapon. Patience was my armor. Claire used to joke that I should loosen up, live a little, take risks like she did. She'd pat my shoulder at family dinners and say, "Not everyone needs to be an adventurer, Jess. Someone's got to keep the spreadsheets updated." Everyone would laugh. I'd smile politely and change the subject. But now, staring at that loan approval, I understood something new. Claire hadn't just been dismissive of my work. She'd fundamentally underestimated what I actually did for a living. I called First Meridian Lending at 8 the next morning, before the coffee finished brewing. A loan officer named Marcus Chen answered, his voice professionally cheerful. I kept mine calm and measured, the tone I used when interviewing suspects who didn't yet know they were suspects. "I'm calling to verify details on a recently approved home equity loan," I said. "Account number 847-2910-3365. Keys clicked on his end. "Yes, Ms. Reynolds. That loan was processed through your authorized agent, Claire Reynolds. Funds were disbursed on the 15th. Is there a problem?" "No problem," I lied smoothly. "Just confirming the timeline. Can you tell me what documentation was provided?" He rattled off the list. Power of attorney. Notarized signature. Property deed verification. All forged, obviously, but I didn't say that. Instead, I thanked him, noted every detail he'd given me, and added his full name to the case file I was already building in my head. Claire had used her real name. She'd claimed to be my agent. She'd submitted official-looking documents to a legitimate bank, and walked away with 6 figures of my equity. It was bold, reckless, and exactly the kind of move someone makes when they think they're smarter than the system. She wasn't. Growing up, Claire was the star. The lead in school plays, the captain of debate team, The girl everyone wanted to befriend. I was the kid in the corner with a library book, content to observe while she performed. When Dad lost his manufacturing job during the recession, our family fractured quietly. Mom picked up extra shifts at the hospital. I got a part-time job at the university bookstore and funneled my paychecks toward groceries and utilities. Claire launched what she called a personal brand consultancy, which mostly meant charging friends for resume advice she'd Googled. But our parents bragged about Claire's entrepreneurial spirit at church, at neighborhood barbecues, at Thanksgiving dinners. "She's got vision," Dad would say. Meanwhile, I'd paid 3 months of mortgage when they fell behind. Nobody mentioned that part. I didn't need recognition. I needed stability. So I studied accounting, then criminology, then got recruited straight out of grad school by Treasury. While Claire bounced between startups and side hustles, I built a career analyzing financial crimes. I learned to read bank statements like poetry, and trace dirty money through international shell companies. The irony wasn't lost on me. My entire professional life revolved around catching people who lied about money. And now my own sister had just committed textbook fraud, using my single most valuable asset. That night, I pulled up the county property records on my laptop. The deed showed only my name, purchased 7 years ago with a VA loan after my military service. No joint owners. No liens except my original mortgage, which I'd been steadily paying down. But when I accessed the loan documents, public record, easily searchable if you know where to look, I found Claire's electronic authorization. The signature was digitally rendered, clean and professional. The notary stamp belonged to a woman named Patricia Voss, address listed in Arlington, the same neighborhood where Claire rented a condo. I zoomed in on the signature. The loops were too perfect, too uniform. My actual signature had a slight tremor in the downstroke of the R, a quirk from a childhood wrist injury. This version was smooth, flawless. Generated, not written. Fraud always leaves traces. Forgers think they're clever, but they forget that handwriting is biometric data. Every curve carries weight, pressure, rhythm. This signature had none of my physical markers. It was a photocopy of an idea, not the real thing. I saved everything to an encrypted folder, backed it up to 3 separate drives, and sent copies to my secure government email. Then I sat back and let the analyst in me take over. Emotion was the enemy now. Data was truth. The realization settled over me like cold water. My sister, the woman I'd shared a bedroom with for 16 years, who knew my middle name and childhood fears, had weaponized my home. The house I'd saved for, sacrificed for, protected. She'd turned my stability into her personal ATM. I traced the forged signature again, with my fingertip against the laptop screen. Each loop felt like a small betrayal, each curve a lie. This wasn't desperation. This was calculation. She'd researched the process, found a complicit notary, forged legal documents, and submitted them with my name attached. The loan was for $100,000. My home's equity drained. If she defaulted, the bank could foreclose. I could lose everything, because my sister decided against my rights. But more than the money, more than the legal nightmare, what cut deepest was the assumption. She'd assumed I wouldn't notice. Assumed I was too quiet, too predictable, too boring to catch her. She'd mistaken my stillness for blindness. That assumption was going to cost her everything. I closed my laptop and sat in the dark kitchen. No tears came. No anger burned. Just a cold, crystalline clarity. This was now a case. And I'd never lost a case. At work the next morning, I opened a new file in my encrypted system. Case 2417, G. Reynolds. Subject: identity theft, mortgage fraud, wire fraud. I populated the fields with clinical precision, the same way I document any investigation. My colleagues knew me as thorough, meticulous, maybe a little obsessive. I triple-checked footnotes. I color-coded evidence logs. I built timelines so airtight that defense attorneys couldn't find a single gap to exploit. That reputation had earned me 3 commendations and a promotion to senior analyst. Now I'd use those same skills against my own blood. I started with the basics. Date of loan origination, amount disbursed, receiving bank account. I pulled the publicly accessible transaction data, the kind any citizen can request through proper channels. The money had landed in Claire's personal checking account at Capital One. From there, it split into 3 directions within 48 hours. 20,000 went to an LLC registered to her boyfriend, Marcus Webb. 50,000 transferred to a cryptocurrency exchange. 30,000 paid down her credit card debt, spread across 4 different cards. It was textbook money laundering. Amateurish but intentional. She was trying to obscure the source, make the funds harder to trace. She probably watched a YouTube video about it. But she was unaware of one crucial detail. I did this for a living. And I was very, very good at it. I spent the next week building a digital evidence trail that would make a prosecutor weep with joy. Every click Claire made online left breadcrumbs, and I collected them all. The loan application was submitted from an IP address that matched her condo's internet service provider. I pulled the timestamp, 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I cross-referenced her social media. She'd posted an Instagram story at 11:52 p.m. that same night, a glass of wine and the caption, "Manifesting abundance." The metadata embedded in that photo confirmed she was home when she filed the fraudulent paperwork. I traced the bank routing numbers on the disbursement. The funds wired directly into her personal account, then immediately split. I documented each transaction, noting the exact time, amount, and receiving institution. The cryptocurrency purchase went through an exchange called Beacon Digital. The transfer to Marcus Webb's LLC was labeled Consulting Services. The credit card payments hit 4 different issuers within 6 hours. She was trying to create distance between the crime and the benefit. Classic fraud behavior. But every movement left a record, and records didn't lie. I compiled it all into a master spreadsheet, color-coded by transaction type. Green for incoming funds, red for outgoing, yellow for suspicious patterns. By Friday afternoon, I had a financial map that told a story, clearer than any confession. Saturday morning, called Claire. My phone sat on the kitchen counter, recording app activated before I even dialed. She answered on the 3rd ring, voice bright and performative. "Jess, what's up? I'm just heading to brunch with some investors. Can I call you back?" "Quick question," I said, keeping my tone casual. "Did you take out a loan using my name?" Silence. Then a laugh, sharp and dismissive. "What? Oh, God, Jess, you're so paranoid. Did you get some weird email? It's probably a scam. You really need to relax. So you're saying you didn't file paperwork with First Meridian Lending? I don't even know what that is." Her voice carried an edge now, irritation bleeding through the performance. "Look, I really have to go. Maybe lay off the true crime podcasts, okay? You're starting to sound crazy." She hung up before I could respond. I stopped the recording, saved it to 3 different clouds, and added it to the case file. Her denial was clean, confident, too confident. The kind of confidence that comes from believing you're untouchable. I played the recording back twice, noting her tone shift when I mentioned the bank's name. That hesitation, barely a heartbeat long, was a tell. She knew exactly what I was talking about. Monday afternoon, I drove to Arlington. The notary's office was in a strip mall, between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. Patricia Voss ran her business out of a cramped room, with fake plants and motivational posters. I walked in without an appointment, Treasury credentials visible on my belt. "I need to verify a notarization you performed," I said, sliding the loan document across her desk. Patricia picked it up, squinting at the signature. Her face went pale. "Wait, you're Jessica Reynolds." "I am." She opened a drawer and pulled out her logbook, hands shaking slightly. "This woman came in 3 weeks ago. She had a driver's license with your name. I checked it against the application. Everything matched. Did you verify the signature in person?" She signed right in front of me. Patricia flipped the logbook around, showing me the entry. The date matched, but the driver's license number listed belonged to Claire, not me. "That's not my license number," I said quietly. "That's my sister's. She used my name and her ID. You notarized a forged document." Patricia's face crumpled. "Oh God. I'm going to lose my commission." I didn't comfort her. She'd been sloppy, and sloppiness enabled fraud. But I took photos of the logbook entry, thanked her for her cooperation, and left. Another piece of evidence secured. Back home, I ran a deep background check on Claire's finances. Not the illegal kind. I didn't need to break laws to catch a criminal. Public records, credit reports, business filings. All available to someone who knows where to look. The picture that emerged was damning. Claire's credit cards were maxed across the board. Her rent was 2 months past due. The LLC she'd funneled $20,000 into, Marcus Webb Consulting, had filed for bankruptcy protection 6 months ago. She was drowning, financially and personally, and she'd decided to drag me under with her. The cryptocurrency purchase was particularly interesting. $50,000 converted to Bitcoin at market rate, then immediately transferred to a cold storage wallet. She was trying to hide assets, create a buffer between the loan and her spending. But crypto transactions are public, recorded on the blockchain forever. I traced the wallet address to an exchange account registered under her name. Amateur hour. She'd watched too many movies, thought Bitcoin was anonymous. It's not. It's pseudonymous, which means traceable if you know what you're looking for. And I definitely knew. I updated my case file with the financial analysis, added screenshots of every transaction, and attached the blockchain records. The pattern was undeniable. This wasn't a mistake or misunderstanding. It was premeditated theft. I didn't confront Claire. Not yet. Every fraud case I'd ever worked fell apart, faster when the subject believed they were getting away with it. Criminals make mistakes when they feel safe. They get sloppy. They talk too much. They leave evidence scattered like breadcrumbs. So I watched. I monitored her social media, noting every post. She uploaded photos of a new handbag, designer label prominently displayed. She checked into expensive restaurants. She posted motivational quotes about betting on yourself and making bold moves. One caption read, "Finally debt-free. Hard work pays off." I screenshotted everything, archived it with timestamps, and added it to my evidence folder. Each post was another nail in her coffin. She was documenting her own crime spree, too arrogant to consider that someone might be watching. My credit monitoring alerts pinged weekly. No new inquiries, no additional loans. She'd taken what she wanted and assumed she was done. That assumption was a gift. It meant she wasn't covering her tracks anymore, wasn't looking over her shoulder. I checked the loan status every few days. She'd made the first payment, minimum amount, right before the due date. Smart enough to avoid default, dumb enough to think that made everything legitimate. She was maintaining the appearance of legality, while spending stolen money.
What do you think about the sisters? Is Jessica right with her steps? Stay tuned for the remaining part of the story. Drop your comment below. Subscribe and click the notification button for more revenge stories. Like and share.